What's up, guys? Welcome back. I'm Tiffany. This is James, and this is our recurring character, Eliana, the Sleepless Wonder.
Yes. How long was your nap this afternoon, Eliana?
She did nap for 40 minutes. Which
40
is pretty amazing for her, so we'll take it. One of you wrote in asking, how do I know what are signs that a guy is spiritually mature? And when I was growing up, I totally thought of that as like, oh, like he's like on the worship team. He raises his hands during worship. It was a very like Pentecostal church. Like he goes to Bible study. Like these are the signs.
He reads the Bible every day.
Yes, like these are the signs that he was emotionally or spiritually mature. Like, what did you think of as spiritual maturity?
For other guys?
Oh, you never thought of what about,
I don't know.
What about for girls? I feel like it's kind of the same for guys and girls, right?
I don't know that I really thought about that.
I thought about this all the time. Yeah. And today I want to share 6 things with you that I don't remember ever being told in church, but I think that they are way better signs, way more trustworthy signs than things like
active in church.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that shows you like he's involved in Christian culture, but it doesn't really tell you anything about how spiritually mature someone is. So, point number 1, first sign to look for is that he's emotionally healthy. Okay, there's this book called Emotionally Healthy Spirituality by Peter Scazzero, linked down below. You have to buy this book. If you've not read this, get it from the library, order it on Amazon, like get your hands on this book and read it. It is so stinking good. And I think in order for someone to be spiritually healthy, they also need to be growing and being emotionally healthy. So some of the signs of being emotionally mature and emotionally healthy are setting boundaries. Like one of the big things I see in a lot of church circles is this push to like say yes to everything. Like there's a need, all hands on deck, do whatever it takes. And I have seen marriages fall apart from that because the marriage was not prioritized, because the person could never set healthy boundaries. It's so important to have a healthy marriage that you're with someone who's going to prioritize your marriage and be willing to say no to things that would get in the way of that.
Yeah, and that could be, it doesn't just need to be church. It's with a job, with hobbies, with friends, with family. I mean, you're having a healthy marriage relationship involves a lot of time together. And if you're with someone who doesn't want to have a lot of together time, that's going to be a difficulty.
I have had some people I knew who like their husband just wanted to be gone every night of the week doing something else, and they worked during the day, so they had like no time together. Your relationship can't grow like that. And so you need someone who's not just a yes man, yes to everything else. It's okay to say yes to some things, of course, but you want someone who will also set those boundaries and prioritize your relationship.
I think kind of going along with that, you know, a lot of times guys can be, not necessarily are, but they can be less emotionally expressive. Sometimes, and that is if you're with someone long term, that's really difficult to deal with. So I think you want to be with someone who is making an effort to dig into their emotions and grow emotionally. Because some guys believe that like emotions should just be ignored or discarded, and that's not really healthy long term.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so the second sign to look for is someone who's growing in love, who has that seed of love in his heart and it's growing. And you see that in the way he treats people, in the way he spends his time and his money. He's growing in love.
Yeah, I think I would say, how does he treat his neighbors? A broad term for maybe people he lives with or interacts with, like co-workers, the people around him, the people that are physically close to him. And is that love growing? Younger men are not always just filled with love, but do you see the love that they have growing?
And like even just like politeness, you know, just like how they talk to you and about people. Like that tells you a lot.
Yeah.
Hi.
Since you have the baby, I'm going to read point number 3, which is being a good steward and becoming financially responsible.
Yes. And you might be like, well, why is this a sign of spiritual maturity if it's about money? Well, the Bible talks a lot about money and your attitude toward it a lot. And it also talks about like being a good steward of the things that have been entrusted to you. And so the way someone handles and views their money is a big sign of this.
And so it's really important to know, how does this person view money? How does this person view wealth? What are their spending like when they're stressed? You know, in what situations does this person make poor financial decisions? And a lot of times these things aren't necessarily verbalized, so it's something you have to dig into a little bit. And if you're not in a good place with money in your marriage, like it's like a tough time.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a huge stress for so many people.
It's not about how much you have.
Yeah,
it's about being wise and responsible with it.
Mm-hmm.
The fourth sign is that they love God. This is kind of the big thing we always think about for spiritual maturity. And there's a lot more to it than just this, but this is definitely essential. Do you see him taking consistent steps to growing spiritually and in his faith and in his getting to know God better?
And just appreciate that it's going to look different than what it looks like for you.
Yes.
So it's not going to be, him growing is not going to look the same as you growing. I think the way that you see that is by the fruit. The fruit. As you know someone over time, are you seeing them evolve and grow in a positive way spiritually?
Yeah.
Are they growing towards God? So number 5, reading off our notes over here. So peaceable, willing to learn and listen, and doesn't have to be right all the time.
The Bible says the wisdom that's from above is first peaceable. We often think of being spiritually mature as being clearly defined, like I have the right answer and you are wrong. And that actually is not spiritual maturity if you look at the Bible. You need someone who is willing to listen, willing to learn and grow, and not prideful.
Yeah, and I think that's just something that as people are maturing, that a lot of people wrestle with, is they are very prideful and they want to be right. It's a phase that I definitely went through. I think probably a lot of people go through that phase, and you need to really try to assess how far along in that phase of being always right is this person, because you really don't want to be in a long-term relationship with someone who is really into being right and being angry at people who disagree with them. That's just spending way too much energy on things that don't really matter.
Yeah. And lastly, he's being sharpened. That whole iron sharpens iron thing in the Bible. He has relationships with people who he's invested in, people who over the long term, over the long haul, he's been a part of their lives.
Yes.
And he lets them be a part of his life.
Yeah. And honestly, this doesn't necessarily need to be Christians.
Agreed.
You know, you could say, I would say, to me, it's a positive. If someone is still in touch with their childhood friends and hangs out with them, that is a positive relational sign. It's what's a little more of a red flag to me is someone who's like, oh yeah, you know, this is my best friend that we've known for 3 months. And it's like,
and then 2 months later, they're like, I have a new best friend. I don't really talk to the old one anymore. Do you have the skills it takes to maintain that relationship when things get hard? That's what it makes me think when I see that.
Well, and it's also just sort of a barometer, like, hey, these guys have like accepted and put up with this guy for 15 years through all that they've been through together. So like there's some element of like normalcy there. It's just something to keep in mind.
Not that they shouldn't have any new friends.
Yeah.
James always has new friends. He loves people. But he also has a lot of old friends who he's like really been invested in, and they have a lot of respect for him. That's a big green light sign to me. Green light sign. I'm already married to you, so.
Better be green.
So those are our 6 signs that I never heard in church, and I hope they can help you to see what true spiritual maturity looks like as a guy who's living out his faith in a real way. And the same goes for us, ladies, by the way. We're not exempt from this. The same things are true for us. So I love you guys, and I'll see you next week. Bye.